Hello everybody, how's it going? This is ZDS here, bringing you guys a little interesting video I decided to do. In this video, I'm going to be discussing a couple of my hopes and ideas for the Pokemon Generation 4 remakes, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Now, for those of you who may not know, Pokemon Platinum was actually the main game that I played for the 4th generation of Pokemon games. I didn't actually play Diamond and Pearl until at least, I want to say, 7-8 years later. And I've never actually owned a physical copy of either game. I actually played them on an R4 cartridge that I had been getting, and then later on an emulator on one of my own computers. I can say now, from playing those games back when I was a kid, late teenagers, I didn't really like Diamond and Pearl compared to Platinum. Now, I do know a couple people who started with Diamond and Pearl. Some people even said that was their favorite of the Pokemon games, but for me personally, I never really thought it would compare to Pokemon Platinum. Pokemon Platinum had a better story, it had a better overall theme regarding the creation trio, and overall I just thought it was a much better take on the 4th generation's formula and the Sinnoh region as a whole. Now, the first thing I want to talk about, because I brought that up, is one of the things that I want from the Diamond and Pearl remakes is I want them to incorporate aspects of Platinum that were not present in Diamond and Pearl. For example, the Battle Frontier, aspects of Battle Frontier that were not fully implemented in Diamond and Pearl. I definitely want them to have the more expanded Pokedex of Platinum. For example, the inclusion of the fire types that were included in Platinum rather than not included in Diamond and Pearl. In Diamond and Pearl, there was only access to Infernape and Rapidash as far as fire type was. Thankfully, in the 4th generation game Platinum, we ended up getting access to the Magmar line, the Houndoom line, and also the Galarian line from Eevee, which were all notable additions and things that I definitely appreciated for the, because I do like the fire type quite a bit, and I thought that Diamond and Pearl were very underrepresented in terms of that typing. But, so primarily the first thing I want to talk about is just that I want to see a lot of the Platinum features reintroduced into Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. Now, Game Freak, for the most part, has done similar things when it came to the Gen 2 remakes and the Gen 3 remakes. Not as much in the Gen 1 remakes. The Gen 1 remakes were basically an entire overhaul of the formula. But the Gen 2 remakes didn't really incorporate a lot of stuff from Crystal besides the Suicune hunt. And the Generation 3 remakes introduced quite a lot of new things that were also in Emerald, by also making the Delta episode being focused on Rayquaza, making it a much better way, in my opinion, of having Rayquaza involved into the story, rather than just being a post-game legendary that you can catch before the 8th gym like you could in Emerald. Definitely something I would also like to see come from the Diamond and Pearl remakes. I would like to actually see an incorporation of Giratina into the main plot, because if you guys remember from Diamond and Pearl, Giratina was sort of an out-of-the-way Pokemon that you could only catch in the post-game through this cave maze somewhere in the region. I can't remember exactly where. But in Platinum, Giratina was the main threat, alongside Dialga and Palkia, and then Dialga and Palkia were caught later on in the Spear Pillar in the post-game. I personally would really like to see Giratina incorporated into the plot in some form or fashion. I mean, obviously because it is a Diamond and Pearl remake and not a Platinum remake, a lot of the things will be much different, but things like that would just be, that's kind of why I want them to incorporate it. And the last thing about the changes over was in Diamond and Pearl, and I don't think this is the case for any of the other remakes, but in Diamond and Pearl, or rather the 4th or the 3rd version of the game, in Diamond and Pearl, the gym leaders are in a completely different order than they are in Platinum. Well, I guess not completely. You do still fight Roark as the first gym leader, and you still do fight the 7th and 8th gym leaders, respectively, as they are. But some of the gyms in the middle are thrown around. Gardenia is still the 2nd gym. But then you have Fantina as the 2nd gym, or the 3rd gym in Platinum. But she's, I believe, the 5th gym in Diamond and Pearl. I could be wrong. But, that was something that really threw me for a loop when I first played Diamond and Pearl. Because I'd already had, almost 5-6 years of experience with Platinum before I even gave those 2 games a shot. So definitely something else I would like to see change. Another thing, I guess point number 2 I want to get into, is I would really like to see how, past features will be incorporated. And I don't just mean the Pokédex, because the Pokédex is not going to be quite the same, I don't think, since Diamond Pro remakes are going to be on a single screen, whereas the original games were on a dual screen setup with the DS. I mean, that's kind of something that I think they will implement in a different fashion, but it's really hard to know, like, what direction they're going to go with that. I definitely look forward to seeing more information regarding that, because one of the things that I really liked about Platinum specifically was how with the roaming legendaries of Mesprit, Cresselia, and the legendary birds in the postgame, you had the map on the bottom screen, and you could use that map to directly track the locations of all of the legendaries without ever having to flash back and forth between the routes hoping that you find them, which is something that I always hated in regards to Pokemon Gold, Silver, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and then of course Pokemon Emerald. Thankfully, in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, there are no roaming legendaries, which is something I think is a godsend for the series. But who's to say that we might not have roamers in regards to the upcoming Diamond and Pearl remakes? But outside of that, another thing I would like to see come back, actually, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only PokeTuber or YouTuber in general, or fan of the series in general that's going to say this, I would really like to see if there would be a way that they could reincorporate the Mega Evolutions into the game. Now, I know, pretty much Game Freak is done with the Megas, I get it. But that doesn't mean that I don't love the Megas. I would really love to see all the Megas come back, and maybe even a few new Megas, and hell, I mean, I'd love to see Primals come back, because we do have Primal Kyogre and Primal Groudon, which are extremely broken Pokemon. But if you think about it, Dialga and Palkia are also ancient Pokemon that have lost their power over the centuries, and I think that giving them primal reversions would be an excellent fit for the two of them. I mean, after all, if you guys have played Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Sky, Time, and Darkness, you'll know that there is a primal Dialga in the game. It's really just a Dialga that lost control of his powers, but there's still that concept there of a primal Dialga, and why not? How about a primal Palkia? I think the combination of those two would really bring a lot more depth, I think, into like the game itself, because perhaps like with Primal Kyogre and Groudon, they could create an entire storyline regarding the primals of Dialga and Palkia, which I think would be just an excellent added flavor to the game itself. Outside of that, regarding to past features, I would like them to bring Z-moves in. However, I don't think they would have any place in the DPP remakes. The main reason why is because it was pretty much an Alola exclusive thing. And, excuse me. And it was completely replaced by the max moves in Generation 8 with Sword and Shield. Now, we will see what happens with the Sword and Shield roster, because there are some rumors floating around that Sword and Shield will not have trading capabilities with Diamond and Pearl remakes. I really hope that's not the case. And also, since we are getting Diamond and Pearl remakes, I really hope that because we're getting the remakes, we're going to get all of the Pokemon that we were missing from the original Pokedex in Sword and Shield. I think personally, this is just my own personal headcanon, I believe that the Diamond and Pearl remakes are going to be the way that Game Freak is going to incorporate all 900-ish Pokemon in the entire series into the game and make them tradable to Sword and Shield. I really think that. And I also think that, much like with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire and X and Y, or Heart Gold and Soul Silver and Platinum Diamond and Pearl, that we will be able to battle with their Pokemon with the other versions. In the past 3 remakes, we've been able to battle from the remake to the main series game in the same generation. I think that the same will be said for Sword and Shield and Diamond and Pearl remakes. And if that is the case, and we are allowed to battle between the games, that would mean as well that the Sword and Shield Pokedex will have to be incorporated into the Diamond and Pearl Pokedex and allow us to actually trade between them as well as battle, because there'd be no reason for them to incorporate that without incorporating a trade feature between both game systems. Beyond that, I guess point number 3, and I'm actually probably going to make this my last point because I'm kind of getting out of breath here if you couldn't tell. Point number 3. This is something that I really want to see as a general rule in any way. I want to have a better overall story and post-game, because something that Pokemon has been severely lacking for several years has been an adequate post-game. Now granted, with the DLC chapters of Sword and Shield with the Crown Tundra and Isle of Armor, the post-game scenario for those 2 DLC packs was excellent and definitely a worthy addition to Sword and Shield. However, if you don't take into account the DLCs, Sword and Shield don't have a post-game. They really don't. I mean, there's not really anything you can do except for, you know, training your Pokemon, fighting through blah, 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 but that's not fully entertaining for some trainers, for some people. I mean, for me, it's not. I mean, I grinded and grinded and grinded to get the full Pokedex, but, I mean, beyond that, it's like, what do you do after that? You know, I like the idea of a post-game in a Pokemon game. I mean, Emerald had a pretty damn good post-game with the Battle Frontier. Fucking Platinum had a good post-game with the Battle Frontier as well. But since Generation, I want to say Gen 5, actually, because I don't remember much of Gen 5 Part... Well, no, actually, correction. Gen 5 Part 1 and Part 2 did have a post-game. But what it basically was is that they were inaccessible towns that you couldn't reach until after the end credits. Which I really liked, and I actually wouldn't mind seeing something similar in Diamond and Pearl Remakes. But considering Black and White and Black and White 2 were kind of their own separate thing, and these are actually remakes of previously made games, I don't think that they'll bring that back. I'd like to see it, but they would actually have to add more towns and stuff to the Sinnoh region to make that feasible. And lastly, but not least, the main other thing that I want to see is I want to be able to capture, not get through an event, not get through some weird fucking DNA or DLC code, no. I want there to be an actual method to capture Manaphy, Fione, Darkrai, Shaman, and Arceus, or Arceus. I want there to be an in-game method to catch them, because one of the things that I really did not like about the generations before Generation 6 was the fact that event legendaries pretty much had to be obtained through codes. And actually, granted, no, it's actually been that same way since even Emerald, actually. And, you know, I don't like the idea of not being able to go out and hunt for my legends on my own. Like, ever since Generation 4 or 5, I can't remember which one it was, you know, Game Freak just started passing out code cards like it was a fucking surplus. And, you know, people weren't able to just go out and capture their favorite legendaries. And I really need them to do that in these games. Like, I want to be able to capture the event legendaries, you know? The mythical Pokemon. And especially with Diamond and Pearl, I mean, Diamond and Pearl, you could catch Darkrai and Shaman. And you could catch Arceus if you used an action replay code. And same thing with Manaphy if you traded over an egg from the Pokemon Ranger games into Diamond, Pearl, or Platinum. But I want to see an actual, like, for example, for Manaphy, I'd like to see an actual, like, event. Like, I don't know, maybe you go to Canalave City after beating Lily 4 and, I don't know, Crasher Wake is waiting at the docks telling you, hey, there's some mysterious thing going on in an island north of the Iron Island or some shit. And you go up there and you investigate, and it's like, oh, these poachers trying to steal the Manaphy egg, you know, things like that. Or in the case of Darkrai, you know, instead of making the Darkrai and Shaman events codes to actually enter into the game, or events you had to go to a physical location to get, make them just legitimate events in the game itself. Like, you may have to do a little headhunting, but you still can be able to do it in the game without any external sources. And with Arceus, I mean, come on. Like, Arceus is pretty much the quote-unquote god of the Pokemon world. It's the creation lore. It's the creation myth. I mean, granted, it doesn't represent a Christian god, but you get my point. And, you know, the fact that Arceus, whatever, was not obtainable in the game without cheat codes really kind of ticks me off. And, I mean, Arceus has never been capturable in any Pokemon game since then. Why? Why? Why can't Arceus be capturable? I think it'd be so freaking awesome. Like, imagine this, for example. And I'll wrap this up after this, but imagine this. Imagine you capture Dialga, and it's in its primal state, and you capture Palkia, and it's in its primal state. And then you capture Giratina, and then you take all three of them to a special location in the Sinnoh region, somewhere in, like, some temple somewhere. And then the three of the creation trio come out and create, like, a warp portal, or, like, a wormhole or something, and they transport you through space to, like, this massive labyrinth with wild Pokemon and ancient trainers and different mythologies and all kinds of, you know, cool architecture and things like that, that you can walk into and be like, wow, this is really cool. Like, the aesthetic is awesome. You can capture really high-level Pokemon, stuff like that. And then waiting at the end is Arceus. I think that would be amazing. Arceus would be a true, like, I guess, end goal for the sake of the completion of the story. You know, I think Arceus would be just a really good way to cap off the game. You know, Put them at level 80, level 85, whatever. Same thing that they did with Deoxys in, which I also love too. In Deoxys in the Gen 3 remakes, Deoxys was event exclusive. Now, granted, Jirachi was still event exclusive, which I thought was a really big missed opportunity. They could have easily made Jirachi its own thing too. But, you know, with Generation 4, it has twice the amount of mythicals that Gen 3 did, and I think that there's just a really lot amount of stuff that you can do with that. But I'm actually going to go ahead and wrap up the video here, guys. So please let me know in the comment section down below what thoughts and ideas and possible design changes or anything like that that you would like to see from the DPP remakes. And don't forget to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more content like this in the future. And that's going to be all from me. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been ZDS, making YouTuber fun one video at a time, and I will see you guys in the next video. Catch you later, everybody.